Okay. Can you tell something about reverse T3 in these cases, or you don't do that at all?
Yeah, we do reverse the T3, but it's not much higher than in many chronic diseases. There is some reverse T, higher than normal, but it's not not to the point where it's really significant.
But maybe the T3 to reverse T3 ratio is more important, I don't know.
But mechanistically, we know that the thyroid receptors are destroyed because they are there's some junk from the 2,5-A thing that's chronically activated that's sitting on the T3 receptor as a 98% homology with the T3 receptor. So it goes into competition with T3 and the T3 receptor. It sits on there, so the T3 cannot be. In chronic phases, these complexes of these junk and T3 are taken up into the cell and destroyed. And that's why you see typically in people who come and see me, I have ME for 30 years, they look like they are hypothyroid, they have normal T3 and T4 in the blood. Mm-hmm. Okay? But they really, the T3 receptors are gone in vital organs.
Yeah, but you have also some people genetically weaker receptor for the T3, and you can treat them with higher dose, much higher dose than.
But we do that, normal. And if we do that, but it doesn't work.
It doesn't work, yeah. So it's
we tried anyway. We tried anyway, but it doesn't work.
What do you think about pesticides on these receptors during the function of the receptors?
I mean, the junk I'm talking about is present in a high quantity. The pesticides are not present in that high quantity in the body. So I'm not sure whether these pesticides play an important role, but it could be. But it's the 2,5-A system that's completely deranged in this system. That is in fact responsible for the T3 problem.
So your main treatment strategies would be dietary changes, nutritional changes, B12,
infection, and then what you can change to the immune system. There are a lot of people that have a profound Th1 deficiency that are very well with DHEA. DHEA stimulates Th1 specifically and gets a number of your immune cells more to express Th1 elements.
And that the dosing would be 50 milligrams?
Yeah, in women you have to stay under 35 because of the mustache.
Okay.
So that's what was like the Th1. And if this would need to parasite, you do B12 prior to do any chelation therapies or anything?
Chelation therapy is something we do or I refer people to because I don't know myself when they're cured. Because we have a famous chelation doctor who works with Van der Schaar in Holland, yes. And his name is is in Team in Belgium, and he treats 40 people a day with chelation, and they are better temporary. But a year later they go back to him, and because of the several mechanisms in this disease, you cannot get rid of heavy metals. Heavy metals come into the cell, and the systems to get rid of them out of cells are different systems that are not working properly. You glutathione thing, your ion channels, your MCP1 is not working properly. So there's a lot of reasons in the disease, and probably overlaps with autism, why these systems are not eliminating the metals. So I think it's secondary to other things.
What if you give supplementation, B12 and folic acid and things like that before and then start chelation therapy?
Yeah, I mean, I said I'm not into chelation therapy because I see this at the end of the therapy, and if the patients are like 80% normal, they can do without me, and I can take new patients, and I send them to colleagues to finish the other things. I mean, that's not my role. I think my role is to put it back on the track and push them in the right direction, and then
When you look at infection, have you looked at mold exposure?
Yes.
And what are the...
See, there's a new publication out from an American with a new technique, and they find in 117 out of 120 patients, compared to controls, they find all sort of toxins from mycobacteria, from mycotoxins. And we find that with the IgGs, we find a lot of people are exposed to these things. But that doesn't mean, I think again, all of us are exposed to mycotoxins in the food and in the environment.
Yeah.
So the same reason is these people cannot get them out of the body. So it's the same mechanism. They cannot eliminate the toxins. Because multi-drug protein number 1 is deficient in these patients because of an ion channel problem. And so they cannot eliminate mycotoxins, and that's why they find higher values in the body. And you're going to find higher in the urine because you're going to have a higher concentration of your fat and so on. You're going to get rid some of anyway, but I think they're going to find much more in the body when they really look at body fat, for example.
What can be done about it?
I don't think we have to treat everything. I think we have to treat what is essential and then let the body do what it should do.
Yeah.
Because, see, I had a lot of patients in the past. Between 1999 and 2002, I treated over 700 patients for mycoplasma infections with 1 year of azithromycin and 1 year of doxycycline. It was a big scandal in Dublin. Everybody says, he must have some company where he makes his own antibiotics or something. But I was working with Garth Nicholson on Gulf War, and so we did some testing in patients, and 70% of our patients had mycoplasmal infections, which is normal, but it's kind of DH1 problem. And so more than 50% were cured. More than 50% were cured. And of those who were not cured, who were like a little bit disappointed because nothing happened, some were cured later without any treatment. So they went better afterwards. So the body got rid of a lot of things afterwards, but the therapy was stopped, the antibiotic therapy was stopped. They stayed away half a year from me, and so other doctors reported, yes, but he's well now, and we didn't do anything anymore. So, and I think you have to see this more dynamically than just static.
Okay, the present methods you use for treating the infections you explained this morning, what are you mostly using for
It
that?
depends on the infections. I mean, I do a profile on which infections they have, but classically Bartonella is very sensitive for rifampicin, for example. Rifampicin is not expensive, it's safe, it's been used for 50 years, and the only thing is that you can get a serious Herxheimer reaction if you give rifampicin to a Bartonella patient, because it is a quick die-off. So you have to be very careful.
Careful, yeah.
And for Lyme, it depends on what stage of the Lyme. You stage the Lyme and you did also the clinical picture. If they have so big gastrointestinal problems that they cannot have it orally, then you have to have the IV. There's no choice. So I look at this individually. I discuss this with the patient, the advantages and disadvantages of every therapy, and you also have to see the whole situation of people. There's not just one pathway. You see what at that moment is the best.
Okay. And how long you have to treat the patients about? Not 1 year, I think, I hope.
Between 6 months and 18 months.
With the antibiotic?
Between 6 months, but the Bartonella you already know after 8 weeks whether it works or not.
Oh, okay.
And with mycotoxins, there is no really expectoration of the body, that's what you're saying.
I mean, soon there are going to be tests for these multi-drug resistant proteins that are in the cell wall, show whether they work or not, and whether you can eliminate the mycotoxins and stuff. they go through the cell wall, they get in the cell, they get lost there, and they need to be pumped out. And they're not pumped out because there is ion channel protein problems.
Question really, Chairman. You know, the Gcmaf works by activating macrophages, but it also has activity on lymphatic activity. So I'm just wondering how that has an bearing on
10 years we developed a test where we measured actin in blood. It's elevated in all of it. It's elevated in
Is
all
that
of
an
it.
easy test?
It's an easy test to do, but they stopped doing this for some reason, I don't remember. But it's an easy test, and it was proposed to the US government for biological warfare testing, because 45 minutes after you get an infection, your actin goes up. So it would be a non-specific test to see whether you got an infection.
And it would make sense that Gcmaf would help
Yes.
getting that test.
Yeah. Because it's not done routinely anymore.